reality. That's what science depends on now, a tremendously alienating instrumentality. What we need to do is empower experience. Well, this is where the psychedelics come in, because citizens don't take psychedelics because it's illegal. Neither do marionettes, neither do robots. None of these well-behaved and mechanistic reductionist images of humanity take psychedelics because it's misbehaving. Misbehaving is a great sin. In fact, it's enshrined as the first sin. You'll regard that the psychedelic issue was there in Eden, and somebody misbehaved, and then they got tossed out forever, and their children's children into the chaos of history. It's interesting
to your mind be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Good morning, good day, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Hope everyone is well. I hope everyone has rested, has recollected his, her thoughts, perceptions, and vantage points since the last time we spoke. Namaste, cheers, greetings, and blessings to all of you. This is True Patriot, also known as CC2 Arms. On behalf of Volunteer Agriculture, True Living Organic Farms, we're back. It's another day, another opportunity, another live stream where we can just get together and shoot the shit, talk about a whole bunch of nothing, or talk about a whole bunch of everything. Hopefully that regardless of how this video, this live stream, this attempt on my behalf to use the tools at my disposal, regardless of how it either resonates or does not resonate with your being, you're able to, if nothing else, pull some form of inspirational value from it, or at least that is my intent as your host. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is well. Gonna be a beautiful day. It's not nearly as hot as it was yesterday. Yes, it's still gonna be a hot day, but not nearly as bad as it was yesterday. Weird topic of discussion, and it just goes to show you how things can play on your energy in motion, your emotion, your energy in motion. I didn't really have a topic of discussion at all planned. I didn't even have any thoughts with regards to what concisely would be on the agenda for the day. I knew that I needed to get the rest of the cucumber seedlings transplanted. I know that I need to get started on the construction of another one of the raised beds. I knew that I needed to hill soil up around the taters. That was the extent of my thought processes when I awoke this day. I turn on YouTube. You know, you're always steered, folks. Even when you're not in a, you're not in a position that affords you the opportunity to acknowledge the attempts to steer you, you're still steered. It's an unfortunate truth. Unfortunately, it just is that way. It just is. I didn't know exactly what I would or would not discuss. What I did know, good morning, Jenny. What I did know was that I wanted to break up the monotony just a little bit. I figured it best if I go through... I don't like to share a lot of content of others. I don't really even like to discuss a lot of others, because oftentimes there is the question, are they even fucking real to begin with? There's so many trolls, there are so many shills, there are so many fake YouTube accounts that are set up for nothing other than ad hominem. Create fucking confusion. And that confusion attracts, you know, we're in a polarity matrix, okay? So that confusion attracts other entities, thought forms, lower vibrational states of being, etc., etc. Yes, I do got my fresh black French roast. French roast, still on French roast. 9 days now, still on French roast. And so I'm looking through the so-called subscribers, the so-called notifications. Megan Fox was live this morning. She was live by my calculation, or excuse me. Let's be accurate here. I got on there, was gonna say hi, was just, you know, just gonna make my presence known, acknowledge those within her chat, say hi. I was only going to be on there for just a second. By my calculations, she was live approximately 1 minute and 52 seconds after the point that I joined in the chat discussion on her live stream. Now, her content, her alleged content, her so-called content, her content is not the point of this particular segment of this topic of this conversation, okay? She just happened to be a vessel, okay? This is her live stream. I jump on it. She has a television programming device playing in the background. And what is the device playing? Take a wild guess. Now, and I catch all of this in less than 2 minutes. Let's see. The first thing I'm hearing is goddamn Jerusalem this, Jerusalem that. That's a sore subject with me. I could pontificate for days on end with regards to the Greater Israel Project. I could also speak further on the Balfour Declaration and the crime and the atrocities that were committed as the result of that illegal, unlawful act being entered into, but another conversation, another day. Okay, now keep in mind, this is in the 2 minutes that I'm sitting here in the chat. Now, she's allegedly live, but she's not saying nothing. I see her, and she's looking at her camera, and there's chat going on, right? This is shit that the television programming set is playing in the background. Let me interrupt my whole train of thought and explain some tech bullshit to some of you people. The human oculus, the human eye, these eyes, not your fucking third eye, not your goddamn, these eyes. See, process approximately 60 frames a second, right? 60 frames per second, FPS. That is the speed at which the conscious mind is able to process the data stream, the stimuli, the info coming fucking in, okay? Now that's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind processes around 2 to 3 times faster than that. What does that mean? What that means is that, let's say I show you 3 words on a piece of paper really fast. I hold up an index card, I snatch it away. Technically speaking, the conscious mind is going to acknowledge, is going to register 1 word of the 3. However, even though the conscious mind does not acknowledge that it was exposed to those 3 words, it was only able to process 1 in that real quick timeline. The subconscious mind recorded as well as acknowledged all 3. Most of what you do in your day is based on programming. It's based on programming that it comes from the subconscious mind. Okay. I will check for that email very shortly. I promise you. I really sincerely will check for that email. So back to Megan Fox's live stream. Here's why this is important, folks. Well, I don't watch the news, and I don't get involved in politics, and I don't give a fuck. Now, Megan Fox is my friend, and she just had goddamn Fox News playing on the background. It ain't no big deal. I wasn't even paying attention to that shit. I was just there because I was stoned. I was wanting to shoot the shit, and I was just talking with my friends, and didn't none of it matter. I was just there. You might not have conscientiously acknowledged what you were exposed to. But the subconscious mind, the psyche, did in fact carry out various calculations and responses in conjunction with those various calculations. And it did so at a rate of speed that I'm not going to attempt to mathematically explain to you. It was fast. It was so fast that the mind wasn't able to keep up with. You think that's by accident? You think that's by chance? You think maybe that's because we're all fucking ignorant and we don't know what the fuck we're doing? We don't know what the fuck we're talking about? I wish it were that way. Back to the topic of what concisely was being played in the background. So, the first thing I'm hearing about is Jerusalem and the Greater Israel Project. Hooray for Israel, fuck the rest of the world. Hooray for the Jew parasites, fuck the rest of the world. Hooray for Israel and its bitch, its lackey, the so-called United States, fuck the rest of the world. And then we go from that to Mr. Trump and that little fat Korean dude are buddies. Yes, sir, they are buddies. Thank God for that North Korean, that little fat North Korean. Thank God for that big head, egotistic fucking psychopath Trump. I don't know why I'm supposed to be thankful, but the rest of the world, Trump's a good guy. And thanks to Trump being a good guy, now the Korean, he's going to be a good guy too, and they're going to be friends. Oh, ain't it beautiful, folks? It's so beautiful. Yesterday, I hated Russia. Yesterday, I hated North Korea. You know why? Because my news people told me so. But today, thanks to the Israeli intelligence-owned mouthpiece, Mr. Trump, I've been reassured that North Korea's good people. Yes, they're good people. Now, we still hate Iran. Fuck Iran. We want to kill everything having to do with Iran just because, well, we don't like the name Iran. We don't like the title. We don't like the associations with the title. But North Korea, good. Trump, even better. Well, damn, they're going to do away with their nukes. Yes, they had nukes. Somebody told me they did. I even watched a video of some fucking, some very well-paid professional sounding, scientific type person. Yeah, and I was watching Fox News, and that science, no, it wasn't Bill Nye the science guy. It was another science guy. But that other science guy was telling me how North Korea had nukes, and that if Mr. Trump didn't stop being a meanie and quit being racist and quit being mean to women, that they would nuke us all and we'd all fucking die. Oh, God, it was hideous. I was so scared. I lived in such fear. Why did the poor North Koreans want to be so mean to me? I mean, I'm just a dumb white redneck hickabilly trash living in the mountains. Does any of that sound even remotely intelligent? I challenge any of you motherfuckers. Prove to me that a nuclear weapon exists. Let me rephrase those words in a way that some of you lame fucks may truly be able to comprehend. Prove to me that a nuclear weapon exists. Keeping in mind, I did not say an energy weapon. I did not say a scalar weapon. I did not talk about a weapon that uses acoustics. I did not mention a radio weapon, a microwave weapon, a HERF weapon, an IMP weapon. I said a nuclear weapon. What's a chain reaction? How would a chain reaction be defined? And if we could, in fact, initiate a chain reaction per the definition of a chain reaction, how would we stop it? I'm not going to get into fucking thermonuclear dynamics or physics or any of that shit. It's a waste of my goddamn time. The fact is, let me make it even easier. I'm not scared of nuclear weapons. I'm not scared of some so-called tyrannical government using the idea of nuclear weapons against me. Oh, God. Have you ever seen the radiation fallout shelters? How many millions of our fucking monies worldwide were devoted to this bullshit fallout shelter? Really? Come on! Fallout of what? So-called nuclear weapons? I know. Some of you are going to pop in the chat and you're going to start mentioning goddamn fucking Nagasaki, Hiroshimas, and all this shit. Oh, okay. Maybe you should do just a little bit of research with regards to explosive devices that either have been used or theoretically can be used, and in what way they can be used. Okay, because if we look at goddamn Building 7, if we look at the motherfucking World Trade Center, we do know that energy weapons fucking exist. Okay, look at the fucking Pentagon. Okay, whatever you want to call that motherfucker that hit that motherfucker. A fucking missile, a goddamn fucking, a scalar fucking weapon, a fucking whatever the fuck. We know that they have technology. That's not in debate here. That's not something I'm denying. That's not something that that's up for discussion. I was very concise. I said nuclear weapon. So we hear Trump's great, the rest of the world's bad for an additional 51 seconds by my calculations. And then all of a sudden, Megan Fox ends her live stream and she's gone, and so is her television programming that was playing in the background. And now, throughout the rest of the day, those unexpecting souls whom were sitting in on her live stream, and possibly her as well, these thoughts that they might not even conscientiously acknowledge will go through and will dictate and manipulate their day. Yet, when some of us mention that we question the validity of some of the information, some of the data being presented, oh, we're goddamn idiots. We're morons. We're conspiracy theorists. Look into the dude. I don't remember his name, but look into the guy. He was he's big in the nuclear game. He worked for GE. He's worked for a number of them, but he took and went swimming in the cool-off pool for some of the at one of the nuclear power plants. If that doesn't do it for you, get on there and watch the guy that drinks the radiation. There's so many fucking lies. It's hard to know what way is acceptable to present people with the lie, because it challenges their belief system to the point that they just freak the fuck out. You know? I used to tell people when I was a kid Jesus was allegory, and they went the fuck off on me to the point they wanted to fight me. Radiation and nuclear are not the same thing. Microwaves are a form of radiation, but they don't make up the entirety of radiation. I mean, you got all kinds of radiation all around you all the time. You always have, you always will. Take your hands, all right? Check this out. You take your hands, right? Slap your hands, right? Start rubbing them fuckers together, okay? Now I'm generating fucking thermal fucking electric. I'm generating energy, right? Okay, so I'm sitting here generating this fucking energy, right? If I had a way to measure that energy being dispersed from the hands, what would it register as? What kind of energy? What wavelength of energy would I be producing? Another thought for another day. So there I am. I'm thinking about motherfucking cucumbers, and I'm thinking about fucking taters, and I gotta hear, Trump's great, the world's bad. It saddens me when I hear dumbass fucking Americans believe this shit. He is an employee of a Colombian district. As an American, what would ever make you think that a Colombian employee would ever give a rat's ass what the fuck happens to America? Think about it. Look at your Statue of Liberty. Do you know what that is? Do you know who that is a depiction of? Look at all the big dicks around the world. I'll give you a hint with regards to the big dicks. Your Washington Monument. It's a big dick. It's a big cock. A big giant fucking cock. A great big, wide, thick, hard, long fucking cock. It doesn't give a fuck about America. It's not for America. It's not by America. That's if you even see or perceive yourself as being American. I don't know what the fuck I am. I don't feel that it's American. However, at this point, it's undefined. And as soon as you figure out what the fuck you are, then you can help me figure out what the fuck I am. But until then, I don't think either one of us know a jack fucking shit. I don't think none of us know a fucking thing. We know what we're told. We know what's been said. And we don't even know half that shit. Half that's fucking lies. You can be sure of it. They're all liars. And the best truths coming from the most gifted minds of the motherfucking in existence ever are still guesses. It's still guesses. You have nothing to base any of it on. Liberty. And where does liberty come from? What does that even mean? Let's look into liberty. I wants to look into liberty. Liberty. Freedom from the bondage of sin. Whose sin? What sin? And how did it become defined as a sin? That's based, if we're looking into the etymology of fucking liberty, where we get liberty, L-I-B-E-R-T-E, which comes from the Latin, which would be L-I-B-E-R-T-A-S, which comes from liber, which is L-I-B-E-R, meaning free. There's a lot of shit we don't fucking know. So much shit we don't fucking know. That's why the Bible, I'll get back on that topic. That's why the Bible has us all fucked up. We can't get on the same page because we can't fucking communicate. Well, I read the same word that you did, and I think it means this. Well, that's okay, because I read the word, and you're wrong, I'm right. The word means this. That's confusion. That's chaos. That is a breakdown in communication. Hence, why it's become Babel. Meanwhile, here's what we know. We do know that symbols seemingly are very important. I mean, after all, let's think of this logically. There are symbols everywhere. Everywhere. They're not wasted. They're there for a very concise reason everywhere you look. So, what's more important? A word that has 1,000 meanings depending on where you're at, depending on the color of your skin, depending on your religion, depending on the day of the week, depending on the weather, depending on all this shit, or one symbol that universally has one meaning, and that everyone ever, either past, present, or future, that sees that symbol knows exactly what that symbol means. Which communication works and which one does not. Back to our words. So the same demographic that is responsible for the breakdown in communication via language, via linguistics, is the same demographic that is behind many of your symbols, your sigils, your logos. And that demographic is the same demographic that has taught you that Trump's good. Fucking ISIS Ra'el or Israel is likewise good. Iran's bad. I don't know what they've ever done, ever, historically, have ever done, but they're bad. Obviously, because the Jew man on the television set told me that Iran and them people's bad. They're also the ones that are responsible for the breakdown of communication. They are also the ones responsible for my failure to linguistically convey my thought to the world around me. They're not my friend, obviously. They're not your friend either. And why in the fuck would you ever fucking put any kind of faith or emphasis on anything that they try to steer you with? Religion. I have been through this subject a million fucking times. Religion. Coming from the word religare. L-I-G-A-R-E. Meaning to bind again. Rebind. And what does religion rebind one to? This. All of it. This trap. This soul prison. This polarity matrix. I have beer. More beer. A continuation from last night. Chilling in my refrigerator. Although, looking... fuck. I shouldn't even mention beer. It's just 11:30. I can't do that. Religion is government. Government is religion. It's the same thing. There is no difference. None whatsoever. There never has been a difference between the two. What's that? Two sides of the same coin, folks. Different sides of the same coin. Heads, tails. Religion, government, 100% the same. Government controls religion. Religion controls government. It's the same entity. Okay. 100%. There is no difference. And neither will or can ever speak out against either. Ever. Historically. Ever. Never will happen. Make this easy for the folks that may have just joined, or the folks that may hear this at a later time. I'm going to break this down in the easiest way I possibly can. I'm using sayings, I'm using quotes, I'm using fucking shit you've heard your entire life. All roads lead to Rome. There you go. That's the simplest truth I can give you. In the simplest form I can present. That should steer your course. That's going to take you half of a lifetime worth of research or searching again just to understand or further comprehend those words and how those words are configured into what you perceive as being your life on this place. Notice I said on this place. Rounded, square, flat, ball-shaped. Those are mute points that are not even relevant as topics of discussion. The scientific evidence that I have seen suggests more so that this is holographic in nature than it is anything else. And I don't even perceive 100% that it is in fact a hologram. I'm just saying that it's... If we're looking at science, if we're taking all the other variables out of the mix, and all we are doing is looking at the science, there's more science to suggest that the universe is holographic in nature than there is evidences to suggest that this particular physical instance is either round, flat, concave, hollow, dome covered, or any of that shit. Could very well be. Could very well be. We know that our DNA, the portions of it that we are still able to access, are binary based. We do know that. So, what uses a binary form of language? And that would be a hard one. And I say that that would be a hard topic of discussion. That would be a hard subject to think about. Because I do know that after smoking DMT, I met with some entities. And I don't know how to describe this experience. But the entities communicated in a form of language that seemed geometric. It seemed as though it, how do I even explain it? It's as if they were communicating with me via a binary based language. Numbers, math, shapes, geometrics, and I can't even really, that's one of them hard experiences to talk about, because it's one of them things you feel, you sense, but you can't really see, hear, touch, taste, smell, none of that. You perceive it, for lack of a better way of putting it. Random chats are fun, though, people. It keeps us on our toes. And that's what this is today. This is just a random chat. Hopefully thought-provoking, or at least on some levels. Let's see. Back on point. Nukes don't exist. Okay, back on point. So, let's go to Google. Nukes don't, and I ain't even going to spell it correctly. Nukes don't exist. Now, when I pop that up, okay, in Google, the first option that it gives, let's add the apostrophe. Nukes don't exist. Okay, make this easier. When I pop that up, there's a total of 646,000 results in 0.35 seconds. Okay. Let's say that 99% of them are a lie. It's just a lie to discredit the government, you know, because everybody's mean to the poor old government. You got almost 1 million fucking results. Let's say 99% of them are false. And only 1% of them's true. That would still leave quite a bit of data. My point, and no, I know, you can't believe everything you read. You can't put any faith into some bullshit. You never can. That's what gets you into a problem, is when you try to place faith, hope, emphasis on the intangible. However, you can use every tool at your disposal to become knowledgeable. But that first requires an open mind. And if the minute I suggest to you nukes don't exist, you in this live stream, you shut me off. You don't have a very open mind. And when you have a narrow mind or an otherwise not open mind, then even when presented with truth, you are not going to have the ability to benefit from it. You're not going to be able to process it. Okay? It requires an open mind to seek out knowledge, to obtain wisdom, to truly become a learned person. Requires that you see all the fucking many angles. And you cannot do that as long as you are fixated on a belief structure. All belief always requires a lie. You can't even write the word down without including the lie. Go ahead, try it. Show me how you would write belief without a lie. You can't do it. There's always a lie in there. Every last belief structure that has ever been taught to you since day one, on some level or another, comprehending my words, or at least try to, on some level or another, it contained a lie. Hence, belief. Knowledge, true wisdom, is when you are able to detach from those belief structures and you are able to seek out truth. The truth has nothing to do with belief. The truth is true. You can believe it, you can disbelieve it, you can like it, you can dislike it, you can say it's true, you can say it's not true. You do whatever the fuck floats your boat. It's not going to change the truth. You see, the truth is its own entity. The truth is true. It stands on its own merit regardless of what position you stand on. It doesn't matter. We don't alter the truth. The truth is the truth. The truth is true, no matter what. You're not able to perceive this when your mind has been clouded with false pretenses, false beliefs. A lot of these are, and a lot of these are, believe it or not, innocent. Think of them like self-defense. The ego will create false realities in an effort to protect what it perceives as real. However, the ego may be necessary in some instances. The ego is not your friend. It's not your buddy. Again, it's its own entity. And that ego will get you into trouble. You've got to learn to not completely detach from the ego, but you've got to be able to place yourself in a position where you can use the ego, but not allow the ego to pose a detriment to self. The ego will create a lot of fake shit that will fuck you up. The ego will create fear. If the ego perceives that fear will protect you from the unknown, it will do whatever it's got to do just that. It's by embracing the unknown that the unknown can then become known. But all of this, as fucking fucked up as I may explain it, as shitty as it may sound, require an open mind. That means you have to take in everything. However unplausible, however far-fetched, however conspiracy rooted in conspiracy you may perceive it to be. You've got to take it all in. You've got to first be willing to acknowledge that you lack knowledge. Because until such time as you can admit that you don't know, you won't ever try to know. Meanwhile, people, places, and things around you will present truths to you all the time. But you'll shut it down. You will run from it every chance you get. How many times did you hear someone talk about marks of the beast since we have disciples in Christ, the chat? How many times were you taught about a mark of a beast? Did you ever question what the beast was? Who the beast was? Why the beast was? Did that ever cross your mind? Well, let's break down beast. Let's break down beast And let's look at the mark of the beast. Let's see. Let me pull up something from the script, also known as the scripture, and we'll see what script says about it. Let me see. It's a let me see. Man, bear with me, folks. I'm not trying to take a long fucking time. I'm trying to find a concise scripture, and I'm having issues finding that precise one. Now, I don't suggest that any living, sentient being follow the words of a Masonic pedophile. And when I'm talking about Masonic pedophiles, for the purpose of this spill, I'm talking about King James. Many of you have done your research on King James. Masonic pedophile. But rather than us fucking debate logistics, rather than argue about shit that was lost in translation, misinterpretation, and all these other semantics and this bullshit, let's just get to the point. Okay, the scripture that I'm going to focus on would be Revelation 13:18. And in Revelation 13:18, via the Masonic pedophile Bible, that's another topic for another day. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. The number of the beast. For it is the number of a man. And his number, the man, the beast, is 666. 666. You've heard that shit your entire fucking life. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a fucking description. Something is being described to you. A beast, or a so-called beast, is being scripted. Hence, taken from Scripture. I'll make it easy. I'll save you the time. You don't have to do the research, although you can search again, and in an effort to prove me either correct or false. That was never that scripture was never meant to do anything other than just give you a hint at some truth. But rather than give you the hint, I'm going to give you the truth. You're the beast. You are a carbon-based fucking life form. Carbon-based, consisting of 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. You're the very beast that you've run from your entire life. Well, I can't get that there mark of the beast. Oh, hell no. I'll go to hell and I'll burn for all of eternity. Carbon, 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. You are the very beast that was being described. And it was not even being described in a negative light with regards to that precise scripture. It was just pointing you in the direction of truth. But the Bible will do that quite often. It'll give you a little piece of truth here, and then it'll steer you into a bunch of bullshit. Give you another little piece of truth, steer you into some more bullshit. It's not the book, it's not the teachings, it's not the words that's fault. It's not the fault of those whom contributed to the words. One demographic. Nowadays, we call that demographic Jews. But back then, they were not called Jews. Just like all this shit you hear about fucking Israel, keeping in mind that if we were just looking based solely on text, solely on scripture, that the so-called Israel of ancient times, it wasn't even referring to a fucking place, it was referring to a people. Ah, damn, I hate these subjects. No, I don't hate anything. But they do just get the, they do just fucking... I'm very aware, very knowledgeable on what ish denotes. Okay? Jew-ish. Ish. Meaning pretend, meaning like, meaning imposter. So most of the world acknowledges that a Khazarian is in fact not a Jew, but a like Jew or Jewish person. There is a big difference between a Jew and a Jewish person. That's not something that anyone can even debate. Which are the ones where the rabbis are, excuse me, this is going to be crude. The little rabbis sucking on the little kids' penis. What are them? Are them Jews or Jewish? Every spiritual doctrine on the planet considers his, her, God the only. Considers his, her truth the ultimate truth. My stance has been the same for fucking several hundred years. It's not by accident that the Jews got a piece of truth. The Hindu got a piece of truth. The Buddhist got a piece of truth. And yet, who is the holder of the ultimate truth? Yeah, we all know where that place is at. We all know who's behind that place. I don't even know how to give out wrenches. How do I do that? Can I give out wrenches? Oh, I can. I can give people wrenches? Oh, man. Don't you get me in trouble. God damn it. I gave out a wrench. What the fuck? Man, I'm going to get banned from YouTube. Some Israeli intelligence folks is going to show up at my fucking house and try to kill me. I'm going to have to break out the fully automatic hardware, and I'm going to have to chop some motherfuckers in half. God damn it. It's going to be a bad day. I'm just kidding. If I really wanted to get rid of a bunch of Israelis, I would actually extract some fucking rice and from some castor beans or something. But anyway, another topic for another day. Or are we back out in chat? Let's see, I gotta quit saying stuff like that too, because that could get me in trouble too. I got a hot mic and I'm talking all kinds of shit. Damn, I gotta be careful. Oh, Jesus Christ. God, how can that be one truth? Christos. Christos. The anointed. How can it be only? What would denote it as being only? Where, either literally, spiritually, physically, linguistically, logically, numerically, can you find anything that would in any way, shape, or form denote the anointed as being the only? The two are not even comparable. On one hand, you're saying I have a figure, and then on the other hand, you're saying I have the only figure. There's no fucking monopolies in this place. There never has been. the Vatican is not going to allow you access to the true knowledge you seek. You're going to have to find it for yourself. But I'll give you a hint. The knowledge that they will expose you to will be enough of a hint to where you can seek out truth. And that truth is not something you will ever find in a book. I'd say consult the Akashic Records. I would say consult nature. I'd say, oh yeah, Rome. The fucking Fifth Council of Nicaea. Let's look into that. Let's look into what the Christians did to the libraries at Alexandria. Well, that was a different time. Christians were bad back then, but Christians are good now. I've let homeless people sleep in my motherfucking yard. I feed homeless people. I bring them home. I let them take a shower. You know what the church does? It calls the police on them. And I pay my motherfucking dues. What's the church pay? Not a motherfucking dime. Nothing. Nothing. Church don't pay fucking shit. Yet, most of us people, we give freely of ourselves. However, the church takes from ourselves. That's the difference. And most people calling themselves Christians referring to Christ and don't even fucking have the first inclination of what Christ even is. Christ refers to consciousness. That is why Christ consciousness predates your so-called Christianity. Christ consciousness is in fact real. Christians, that's just a fucking label. That's a title. A lot of Muslims are getting killed. I mean, shit. Christians don't have a monopoly on getting killed. What the fuck? People get killed daily, and it's always the same demographic behind it. All roads lead to Rome. They perverted. They're the ones that... The Church of Rome is where you even get your idea of Christianity from. It's a perversion. It's a mind fuck. It's a play on words. The Bible is literally just that. Bible, as in bullshit. And why the bull? You may wonder, why the bull? Why the Bible? The bull is what? What is the bull? The bull is the fucking fertility god. Who do you think's behind the Church of Rome? That's just one of the deities. We're dealing with fucking ancient forms of paganism that have existed for fucking hundreds of thousands of years. Hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands of years. Which cannot be summarized by looking at a fucking historical timeline of the last, I don't know, what is it, 5,100 years. That's all of it. And it isn't even necessarily just the Church of Rome. It's the people that were behind the Church of Rome, prior to the Church of Rome even being established. Hence, why the Church conceals history. As a Christian, no, I just question stuff like, have you ever studied a book called the Goetia, also known as the Lesser Key of Solomon? And I say that because generally Christians will talk a lot of shit, but then when you ask them or seek out what they base their knowledge on, it's usually patterned after one particular ideology or school of thought. And there's many schools that operate simultaneously all the time. There always have been. Have you ever been a Wiccan? Have you ever studied witchcraft? If you've not, then what the fuck do you know about it? You know what you were told, but what do you truly know? Did you ever study the teachings of Muhammad? Do you know anything at all about Islam? Or are you just regurgitating a pattern of thought that you were indoctrinated with? And I'm not singling anybody out. I'm not trying to be judgmental of Christians. I'm really not. So anybody that sees this video at a later time, look, I'm just saying these are genuine topics of conversation that we should be able to freely discuss. And if your so-called God or your so-called ideology that focuses on your so-called God is true or accurate, then it should stand up to scrutiny. It should not cower in fear when presented with scrutiny. If it's true, after all, it should be able to handle the scrutiny. I guess the crucifix myth is one that has thoroughly mind-fucked a good number of Christians or so-called Christians. We could reference cardinal directions. We could reference astrotheology. And the typical Christian never looked into it. Knows nothing of it. Christ consciousness is real, folks. You know, anybody that calls herself a Christian should look into that. You think fucking Buddha, a fucking Gandhi. There's been a lot. There has been a lot that have tried to point you in the direction of truth. They can't tell you the truth. Neither I nor anyone else can tell you the truth. Truth is something that one has to seek for him, herself. It is out there. It is typically in plain sight. But there again, back to what I was saying a few earlier about an open mind. If you're going to shut me down the minute I mention an Necronomicon, then you're obviously not seeking truth. What did the Jews do when they found a lot of the teachings, a lot of Solomon's, the wisdoms and knowledge that Solomon had acquired? What did the Jews do with it? What do so-called Christians do with those wisdoms today? Why can I not have access to the Vatican Library? What entitles Christianity to prevent the rest of the world from knowing truth? Yeah, there's Saturn worship is real fucking popular. Always has been. Oh, did I spill coffee? No, I didn't. Ah. I'd say that the Bible is more so a book of Jewish witchcraft than it is anything else. I understand what that stance might paint me out to be. I'm going to throw an article in here. I don't even know if I can, should, because people will fucking hate on the messenger. They won't even attempt to inform, enlighten, or otherwise arrive at truth. It's much easier for them to run away from what they're confronted with, which is sad. I'm not saying that anything that I ever present is true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that if it ultimately is going to be discovered as truth, it will be required that we look at all with an open mind, an open heart, that we all come together, put our fucking thinking caps on, unite, get on some common fucking ground, and scrutinize the fuck out of this shit. What I do know is the same motherfuckers that lied to me when I enlisted, the same motherfuckers that lied to me as a child, the same motherfuckers lying to me now, mostly so-called themselves Christians. And yet I know that, like if we were to speak on the topic of the free sons of Ma. You never heard that before, have you? The free sons of Ma, also known as Freemasons. If we were to speak on the subject of them, they are not allowed to tell you the truth. No, sir. No, ma'am. They cannot tell you the truth. They're not allowed to. They're forbidden from telling you the truth. Oh, how did I get steered into this topic? Ah, fuck you, motherfuckers. Damn. Manipulating my minds and my thoughts. Oh, this makes me want to pull up Larkin Rose. See what y'all did? I gotta listen to fucking, I gotta play Larkin Rose just to recuperate. And I'm gonna play it too. Let's listen to some voting cattle. Let's listen to what is being said about the voting cattle. Cannon fodder. I mean, citizenships. I gotta find some coffee too, because that coffee done got cold. So, we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna drop out of this, I'm gonna drop this mic down. I'm gonna raise up the background volume just a bit. Drop this mic out. Here we go. Ending mic now.
You cannot begin to imagine in how many ways the world is the opposite of what you have been taught to believe. You see the guy who sells drugs to willing customers so he can feed his family as the scum of the earth, while you see the hypocrite who gives away stolen money in the name of government as a saint. You see the guy who tries to avoid being robbed by the federal thugs as a crook and a tax cheat, but see as virtuous the politician who gives away the same stolen loot to people to whom it does not belong. You see the cop as a good guy when he drags a man away from his friends and family and throws him in prison for 10 years for smoking a leaf, and you see anyone who defends himself from such barbaric fascism as the lowest form of life, a cop killer. In reality, most drug dealers are more virtuous than any government social worker, and prostitutes have far less to be ashamed of than political whores, because they trade only with what is rightfully theirs, and only with those who want to trade with them. The upstanding, church-going, law-abiding, tax-paying citizen who votes Democrat or Republican is far more despicable and a bigger threat to humanity than the most promiscuous, lazy, drug-snorting hippie. Why? Because the hippie is willing to let others be free, and the voter is not. The damage done to society by bad habits and loose morality is nothing compared to the damage done to society by the self-righteous violence committed in the name of the state. You imagine yourselves to be charitable and tolerant when you are nothing of the sort. Even the Nazis had table manners and proper etiquette when they weren't killing people. You think you're good people because you say please and thank you? You think sitting in that big building on Sunday makes you noble and righteous? The difference between you and a common thief is that the thief has the honesty to commit the crime himself, while you whine for government to do your stealing for you. The difference between you and the street thug is that the thug is open about the violence he commits, while you let others forcibly control your neighbors on your behalf. You advocate theft, harassment, assault, and even murder, but accept no responsibility for doing so. You old folks want the government to steal from your kids so you can get your monthly check. You parents want all your neighbors to be robbed to pay for your kids' schooling. You all vote for whichever crook promises to steal money from other people to pay for what you want. You demand that those people who engage in behaviors you don't approve of be dragged off and locked up, but feel no guilt for the countless lives your whims have destroyed. You even call the government thugs your representatives, and yet you never take responsibility for the evil they commit. You proudly support the troops as they kill whomever the liars in D.C. tell them to kill, and you feel good about it. You call yourselves Christians or Jews or claim to follow some other religion, but the truth is what you call your religion is empty window dressing. What you truly worship, the God you really bow to, what you really believe in is the state. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, unless you can do it by way of government. Then it's just fine, isn't it? If you call it taxation and war, it stops being a sin, right? After all, it was only your God that said you shouldn't steal and murder, but the state said it was okay. It's pretty obvious which one outranks the other in your minds. Despite all the churches, synagogues, and mosques we see around us, this nation has one God and only one God, and that God is called government. Jesus taught nonviolence and told you to love your neighbor, but the state encourages you to vote for people who will use the violence of government to butt into every aspect of everyone else's life. Which do you believe? To those about to stone a woman who had committed adultery, Jesus said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." But the state says it's perfectly fine to lock someone up if they do something you find distasteful, such as prostitution. Which do you believe? The Christian God says, "Thou shalt not covet," but coveting is the lifeblood of the beast that is the state. You are taught to resent, despise, and hate anyone who has anything you don't have. You clamor for the state to tear other people down, steal their property, and give it to you. And you call that fairness. The Bible calls it coveting and stealing. You are not Christians. You are not Jews. You are not Muslims. And you certainly aren't atheists. You all have the same God, and its name is government. You're all members of the most evil, insane, destructive cult in history. If there ever was a devil, the state is it, and you worship it with all your heart and soul. You pray to it to solve every problem, to satisfy all your needs, to smite your enemies, and to shower its blessings upon you. You worship what Nietzsche called the coldest of all cold monsters, and you hate those of us who don't. To you, the greatest sin is disobeying your God, breaking the law, you call it, as if anyone could possibly have any moral obligation to obey the arbitrary commands and demands of the corrupt, lying, delusional megalomaniacs who infest this despicable town. Even your ministers, priests, and rabbis, more often than not, are traitors to their own religions. teaching that the commands of human authority should supersede adherence to the laws of the gods they say they believe in. Several years ago, I heard one pompous evangelical jackass in particular pontificating on the radio that anyone who disobeys the civil authority, be it a king or any other government, is engaging in rebellion against God. Those were the exact words he used. What if the government is doing something wrong? Well, this salesman for Satan opined, that is the business of those in government, and you are still obligated to obey. Everywhere you turn, be it the state or the church, the media or the schools, you are taught one thing above all else: the virtue of subjugating yourselves to mortals who claim to have the right to rule you. It is sickening the reverence with which you speak of the liars and thieves whose feet are so firmly planted on your necks. You call the congressmen and the judges honorable, and you swoon at the magnificence of the grandiose halls they inhabit, the temples they built to celebrate the domination of mankind. You feel pride at being able to say you once shook a senator's hand or saw the president in person. Ah, yes, the grand deity himself, His Royal Highness, the President of the United States of America. You speak the title as if you're referring to God Almighty. The vocabulary has changed a bit, but your mindset is no different from that of the groveling peasants of old who bowed low, faces in the dirt, with a feeling of unworthiness and humility when in the presence of whatever narcissist had declared himself to be their rightful lord and master. The truth of the matter, back then and today, is that these parasites who call themselves leaders are not superior beings. They are not great men and women. They are not honorable. They're not even average. The people who earn an honest living, from sophisticated millionaire entrepreneurs to illiterate day laborers doing the most menial tasks you can imagine, those people deserve your respect. Those people you should treat with courtesy and civility. But the frauds who claim the right to rule you and demand your subservience and obedience, they deserve only your scorn and contempt. Those who seek so-called high office are the lowest of the low. They may dress better, have larger vocabularies, and do a better job of planning out and executing their schemes, but they are no better than pickpockets, muggers, and carjackers. In fact, they are worse, because they don't want to rob you of just your possessions. They want to rob you of your very humanity, deprive you of your free will, by slowly leeching away your ability to think, to judge, to act, reducing you to slaves in both body and mind. And still you persist in calling them leaders. Leaders? Where is it that you think you're going exactly that would require you to have a leader? If you just live your own life and mind your own damn business, exercising your own talents, pursuing your own dreams, striving to be what you believe you should be, what possible use would you have for a leader? Do you ever actually think about the words that you hear, the words that you repeat? You parrot oxymoronic terms such as the leader of the free world, even pretending for a moment that there is some huge journey or some giant battle that everyone in the entire nation is undertaking together that would require a leader. Why would you ever think, even for a moment, that the crooks that infest this town are the sort of people you should listen to or emulate or follow anywhere? Somewhere inside your mostly dormant brains, you know full well that politicians are all corrupt liars and thieves, opportunistic con men, exploiters, and fearmongers. You know all this, and yet you still speak as if you are the ones who are the stupid, vicious animals, while the politicians are the great, wise role models, teachers, and leaders without whom civilization could not exist. You think these crooks are the ones who make civilization possible? What belief could be more absurd? Yet when they do their pseudo-religious rituals, deciding how to control you this week, you still call it law, and continue to treat their arbitrary demands as if they were moral decrees from the gods that no decent person would ever consider disobeying. You have become so thoroughly indoctrinated into the cult of state worship that you are truly shocked when the occasional sane person states the bleeding obvious. The mere fact that the political crooks wrote something down and declared their threats to be law does not mean that any human being anywhere has the slightest moral obligation to obey. Every moment of every day, in every location and every situation, you have a moral obligation to do what you deem to be right, not what some delusional bloated windbag says is legal. And that requires you to first determine right and wrong for yourself, a responsibility you spend much time and effort trying to dodge. You proclaim how proud you are to be law-abiding citizens and express your utter contempt for anyone who considers himself above your so-called laws, laws that are nothing more than the selfish whims of tyrants and thieves. The word crime once meant an act harmful to another person. Now it means disobedience to any one of the myriad of arbitrary commands coming from a parasitical criminal class. To you, the term crime is nearly synonymous with the word sin, implying that the ones whose commands are being disobeyed must be something akin to gods, when in truth they are more akin to leeches. The very phrase, taking the law into your own hands, perfectly expresses what a sacrilege it is in your eyes for a mere human being to take upon himself the responsibility to judge right from wrong and to act accordingly, instead of doing what you do, unthinkingly obeying whatever capricious commands this cesspool of maggots spews forth. You glorify this criminal class as lawmakers and believe that no one is lower than a lawbreaker, someone who would dare disobey the politicians. Likewise, you speak with pious reverence of law enforcers, those who forcibly impose the politicians' every whim upon the rest of us. When the state uses violence, you imagine it to be inherently righteous and just, and if anyone resists, they are, in your eyes, contemptible lowlifes, lawless terrorist criminals. Like the lawless terrorist criminals who helped slaves escape the plantations. Like the lawless terrorist criminals who helped Jews escape the killing machine of the Third Reich. Like the lawless terrorist criminals who were crushed to death under the tanks of the Red Chinese government in Tiananmen Square. Like all the lawless terrorist criminals in history who had the courage to disobey the never-ending stream of tyrants and oppressors who have called their violence authority and law. And that includes the lawless terrorist criminals who founded this country. Everything you think you know is upside down, backwards, and inside out. But what has to take the cake, the height of your insanity, is the fact that you view as violent terrorists the only people on the planet who oppose the initiation of violence against their fellow men. Anarchists, voluntarists, and libertarians. We use violence only to defend ourselves against someone who initiates violence against us. We use it for nothing else. Meanwhile, your belief system is completely schizophrenic and self-contradictory. On the one hand, you teach the young slaves that violence is never the answer. Yet out of the other side of your mouths, you advocate that everyone and everything, everywhere and at all times be controlled, monitored, taxed, and regulated through the force of government. In short, you are teaching your children that the masters may use violence whenever they please, but the slave should never resist. You indoctrinate your children into a life of unthinking, helpless subservience. You are putting the chains around their little necks and fastening the locks tight. And worst of all, you feel good about it. Out of one side of your mouths, you condemn the evils of fascism and socialism and lament the injustices of the regimes of Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. While out of the other side of your mouths, you preach exactly what they did. The worship of the collective, the subjugation of every individual to that evil insanity that wears the deceptive label, the common good. You babble on and on about diversity and open-mindedness, and then beg your masters to regulate and control every aspect of everyone's lives, creating a giant herd of unthinking conformist drones. You wear different clothes and have different hairstyles, and you think that makes you different. Yet all your minds are enslaved to the same club of masters and controllers. You think what they tell you to think and do what they tell you to do while imagining yourselves to be progressive, thinking, and enlightened. From your position of relative comfort and safety, you now condemn the evils of other lands and other times while turning a blind eye to the injustices happening right in front of you. You tell yourself that had you lived in those other places, in those other times, you would have been among those who stood up against oppression and defended the downtrodden. But that is a lie. You would have been right there with the rest of the flock of well-trained sheep, loudly demanding that the slaves be beaten, that the witches be burned, that the nonconformists and rebels be destroyed. How do I know this? Because that is exactly what you are doing today. Today's injustices and oppressions are fashionable and popular, and those who resist them, you tell yourselves, are just malcontents and freaks, people whose rights don't matter, people who deserve to be crushed under the boot of authority. Isn't that right? You bunch of spineless, unthinking hypocrites, look in the mirror. Take a good look at what you imagine to be righteous and kind. You are the devil's plaything. The crowds of thousands wildly applauding the speeches of Adolf Hitler, that was you. The mob demanding that Jesus Christ be nailed to the cross, that was you. The white invaders who celebrated the wholesale slaughter of those godless redskins, that was you. The throngs filling the Colosseum, applauding as the Christians were fed to the lions, that was you. Throughout history, the perpetual suffering and injustice occurring on an incomprehensible scale, it was all because of people just like you. The well-trained, thoroughly indoctrinated conformists, the people who do as they're told, who proudly bow to their masters, who follow the crowd, believing what everyone else believes and thinking whatever authority tells them to think. That is you. And your ignorance is not because the truth is not available to you. There have been radicals preaching it for thousands of years. No, you are ignorant because you shun the truth with all your heart and soul. You close your eyes and run away when a hint of reality lands in front of you. You condemn as extremists and fringe kooks those who try to show you the chains you wear because you don't want to be free. You don't even want to be human. Responsibility and reality scare the hell out of you, so you cling tightly to your own enslavement and lash out at any who seek to free you from it. When someone opens the door to your cage, you cower back in the corner and yell, "Close it, close it." Well, some of us are finished with trying to save you. We've wasted enough effort trying to convince you that you should be free. All you ever do is spout back what your masters have taught you, that being free only leads to chaos and destruction, while being obedient and subservient leads to peace and prosperity. You nation of sheep.
Yeah, there are none so blind as those that won't see. And most won't see not because the truth is hidden, not because the truth is not available to them. They willfully remain ignorant and remain blind, because doing what one is told is easier than knowing what one should do and listening to one's heart and doing what is righteous and virtuous based off the soul, off the energy, off of what is. It's so much easier. You don't have to question. You don't have to think, I just do what I'm told. It eliminates confusion. That's the downside. That's the problem. That's not the solution. That is the problem. Anyway, those just tuning in, we were listening to excerpts from a speech by Larkin Rose, a fellow proletariat, anarchist, whatever you call it. Good dude. Good dude. He truly is a good dude. He's got a plethora of knowledge himself. Has shared a good amount of wisdoms with the world. Anyway, I'll probably get all kinds of feedback with regards to promoting a so-called anarchist. And you know, sadly, that what I find is that the average motherfucker does not even know what a fucking anarchist even is. They don't even know. Their state indoctrination has not allowed them to possess the wisdom to be able to even define, let alone use in the correct context, the word anarchy. And that's sad, folks. That's sad. That is sad. Okay, what have I got going on in chat? Y'all seen? I thought I'd shoot some beans up there. Fuck! Goddamn autoflowers! Fucking autoflower experiment pissing me the fuck off. Pissing me the fuck off. All I want to do is cheaply, freely, easily breed autoflowers and maintain a collection of viable seed stock that I can share with the world. Freely, of course. And, we got more trials to go, folks. We're still plugging away at it. We're still plugging away at it, folks. We're gonna drop some more. We're gonna keep on keeping on. Cheers, Budget Bud showed up in the chat. Oh man, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, friend. Turkeys all over my house. All over the fucking place. Motherfuckers is... you could just go in my backyard and get you a turkey if you was wanting one, or two, or three, or four. That's what everybody else does. Hey, I'm gonna come over to your house and get a turkey. Is that alright? Well, I don't care. Fuck. Goddamn, just eat up all my meat. I just won't have shit when shit hits the fan. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that attitude. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love the area. And if my fellow brethren want to come over to my house and get something to put in their freezer to hopefully feed their youngins and have some excess foods, stuffs, hey, that's great. Hey, while you're up in the woods getting that turkey, me and your old lady gonna be down here in the yard, and I'm gonna hook her up with some vegetables. That didn't come out sounding the way it... Anyway, I seen that playing out in the mind mentally differently than it come out verbally. Yeah. What is up? What the fuck's everybody else doing? Let me look through chat. Let me hide all these emoticons, colons, whatever the fuck we call these things. Let's see. Check my thermo. It's now 96. Oh, I can check my weather. Let's see. Oh, I bet it's rough. I bet it's wet rough. Ooh! Temperature 88.5. Humidity 42%. Wind 6 miles per hour. No rain. And then they started that shit last night again. They do this to us all the time. Your chances to see rain are going to be real good this week. Oh, yes. It's probably going to be storms. But, you're going to get some rain. Yeah, right. Okay. We're not putting no eggs in that basket. We damn sure ain't expecting, hoping, or looking for that to happen. They're not going to go for it. They're not going to let us have it. And 32% humidity would be low depending on the stage of development of the plant, Jenny. If we were midway through flower and you had 32% humidity, I'd say awesome. Fucking run with it. It would lessen your chance for mold. It would make it a less than favorable environment for just in general, for bugs, for fucking molds, for other pathogens. However, if we were at a vegetative stage of development, if our plants were vegetating, vegetative growth, or fucking explosive growth stage, building root structures, fucking getting big, bushy, that would tend to be a little bit low. Could you do it? Yeah, people do it all the fucking time. People have low humidity all the fucking time. They pull it off just fine. During a vegetative stage, I try to keep mine at 60 to 75% humidity, but then again, I'm a fucking weirdo, so I like rainforest conditions and shit. Do gotta get some seeds dropped. I do gotta get that done. Peas would be nice. I gotta get all that shit planted. I got the seedlings, but to carry in the dirt. You know, I had a buddy over last night, and we had a pretty good bonfire, and we had our little headlights on, and he helped me carry some soil. And let's see, what did I get in one of these newer beds? I got some of my cross of my tomatoes, my own cross. I got some of those planted. I got 5 of the chili peppers planted. Anyway, and which reminds me, I'm not seeing my ink pen here, but we need to update our scribbles, because right now my scribbles are like a couple days old, so I haven't quite yet updated it to reflect the additional plants. At some point I need to get that done today. I'm sure I'm gonna have to water. Yeah, I can't really plant nothing in this heat. So it's limiting me to early in the morning and in the evening, nighttime. And then, so during the day, like right now, what can I do? What can I do? Get off my lazy ass and go carry soil? I could do that. But I don't think that technically would be safe for me to do. Yeah, but I would have to go and collect dandelion, which is not impossible, but I don't think that I have nearly the amount of dandelion that one would expect on her side of this mountain. Tons of wildflowers of all varieties. Dandelion, though, is not something that there's a lot of. Right, you know, I mean, I could walk and go catch some dandelion. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, in my immediate vicinity. Okay. Let's pop some seeds. Let's drop some seeds. Fuck. Let's drop some seeds. I don't really know what else to do. I do have 2 mason jars here. I'm going to split the water. Alright. Fellow YouTuber, good friend, excellent people. I'm not mentioning them by name. They know who they are. Trial number 3. Take 3. You see that? Now watch this. We're going to liven it up for real. I'm going to go with about a 1/2 teaspoon. half a teaspoon of our kelp meal. Okay. Let them soak. Let them soak. Soak. See? You can see. See them floaters? Yeah. Alright. Let them soak. We'll put them up here. Yep. We'll put them up here out of sight, out of mind. Now I do have a white rhino cross. Technically speaking, we're too late for the entirety of this, but we can still utilize the outdoor, even though I would normally have some of my photos would be started a long time ago. I can still utilize my outdoor climates for, if I wanted to, I can go ahead and flower this. She'd do great. The yield wouldn't be fucking beautiful or nothing, but she would do great. But we can utilize this for this outdoor as a way of, you know, anyway. We'll go ahead and pop one of these. It's my last one. And that is a white rhino cross. Give my kelp meal. Kelp meal, kelp meal. Healthcare. They've always told you what they're doing with healthcare. Learn what that fucking staff of caduceus represents. Whom it represents. And why it represents them. Again, I'm going to go with about a half a teaspoon of the kelp meal. Yeah. Do the white rhino cross. All right. Oh, heck yeah. I'll jump off here and I'll get on your live stream. I've not got nothing really going on major anyway. Trying to stay cool, hoping maybe potentially get a nice mail call today. That would be lovely. That would be lovely. Now, the white rhino cross, we're going to put that up there next to the auto flyers. Let it sit there and hope for the best with regards to that endeavor. I will be cutting a bunch of lettuce this evening. I'll probably cut some green onions this evening. It's just so damn hot. Some of the broccoli, since I've got so much of the broccoli plants that bolted and went to flower, I've got more than enough that I'll be able to utilize for seed purposes. But a way to take something good out of a bad situation is some of these broccoli plants I'm going to actually be able to take down today. And by doing that, any space, I mean, a lot of you that grow broccoli know that, you know, some of these broccoli plants will take up a lot of fucking real estate, you know. So, we're going to take down some of the broccoli today, and we're going to replace some of the broccoli plants with probably some of the autumn bell peppers, or maybe even like the seedling tray you're looking at right here. This seedling tray, this bottom row of this seedling tray, that you're looking at on screen, that is the newest of the jalapeno crop, which I really need to get something done with those pretty quick, because currently all I have is about 6 viable jalapeno plants. 6 will not cut it. You figure we pickle and preserve a lot of jalapenos. We make a lot of our own salsas. We preserve that as well. And when you know, if you just want something good to eat for just you and a friend, or you and a husband, or you and a wife, or whatever, 1, 2, 3 plants might cut it for you. But last year I ran 8 jalapenos, and it didn't give me enough. I did do pretty good. What was it? I ended up with, I want to say 15 pounds. Now that's fresh jalapeno. You know, I didn't dry any, but it was 15 pounds fresh, and then of course we processed 15 pounds. We most of it we candied. We use an old 100-year-old bread and butter pickle recipe, and we use that recipe to can and preserve our jalapenos as well. And folks, I don't know if any of you have had candied jalapenos, but it's excellent. That's the gist of that. Just excellent. 12:49. I'm going to end my live stream at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Any of you that happen to look at clocks, that's 11 minutes from now. I'm sure so glad that I decided to rob Peter to pay Paul or whatever. Yeah, I pulled a fan out of the one of the grow tents. I pulled a fan out of it, and I put it right here in the barn, blowing right on my face. Yes, I'll be there, Jenny. I will be there. Jump on your live stream. Jump on Jenny's live stream for a bit. You could throw a link to your channel in chat if you wanted to, and maybe someone would see it, and maybe if someone did see it, they would, you know, jump over on your live stream. Matter of fact, I'll do it for you. I will do it for you. Okay. Well, it isn't as bad. It is muggy and nasty and kind of hot as it is today. I guess ultimately I can't really complain. It could be a lot worse. It really could. I do need to probably hike up the mountain. I do need to check on the Gorilla Glue crosses. I do need to go up there and look at those. Regardless of what we discussed here today, I'm your friend. I'm not. Don't take things literally. Don't wear your feelings on your shirt sleeve. Don't just automatically presume that you know something about my true intent, my desires. You know, I mean, I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong probably more than I am right. And I'm man enough to tell you that because I know that to be true. My point is that I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm trying to afford you the benefit of some of my experiences, and I'm utilizing what I perceive to be at my disposal to do so. And a lot of times it's unconventional. Yeah, you know, think of me like a Viking. But I don't want you to, shut down, you know, as a result of something you may or may not be exposed to while visiting my channel. I've been at this for many years, folks, and nothing surprises me. And I need to throw these little disclaimers out there periodically because it never fails. You know, the hate mail will come. It always does. And a lot of times people feel singled out. They feel like they're targeted. They feel like there's this fucking actual agenda working against them individually. And, you know, it's just not that way. If I say you, I'm not necessarily referring to you, the individual. I might even be referring to an entire demographic, and I will use the term you. So please don't get offended. Don't think that I'm not bashing your Christianity. I'm not bashing your Islam. I'm not insulting your politics. I'm not trying to tell you you're not a good grower. I'm not trying to trash the company that gave you an LED light panel to try or demo. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm trying to make the world a better place the best way that I know how to do so. And I'm going to use whatever I can potentially use to achieve that goal. And there are going to be times while on that path that I'm going to say and do things that's going to rub you the wrong way. It's just going to piss you the fuck off. But if rather than seek out to destroy me, or rather than get offended, if you'll take time to reflect on the position that I'm presenting and what went into leading me to present you with that position, you'll find that I'm only seeking to share truth, share wisdom, and grow through the process. I do get it wrong a lot. You can send me an email, send me a private message, cc2arms@gmail.com. Hit me up on Google Hangouts. Send me an email. We can talk one-on-one. We can discuss it. And when such time comes that we arrive at the fact that I am in fact wrong, I will proudly and happily do a live stream video, and I will amend my words. I will revise my thought to reflect the truth. I will also happily admit responsibility for my mistake. I will also happily try to make amends for anything that I did or said that resulted in you experiencing any discomfort, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, and or otherwise. You know, we can only better ourselves when we become on the same page, when we become when we are able to connect and find the common ground that we all have. You know, we're all going through this shit together, every last one of us, and it's important that we learn and grow together. And we do that, we all lean on each other, you know. I just don't want you to assume something based on something you think you heard, based on something you think you perceive about me. Because generally, I'm 100 miles an hour 100% of the time. Perth Outlook just joined us in chat. Perth, I'm ending this live here in another 2 minutes. You're catching us on the tail end of it. But, friend, love to you. Thank you very much for visiting. It does mean a lot to me. It sincerely does. In spite of how I may act, how I may reflect, how I may perceive things, how outspoken I may or may not be. It's heartwarming. Thank you for being here. I'm actually going to go join Jinxie, and I threw her link in chat. That's to her channel. She's going live. Let's see. She's on her way to the grocery store to willfully buy toxin-laden foods for her and her family to consume that she already is knowledgeable that they contain toxins. And in spite of the alternatives, she's willfully on her way to the grocery store to purchase foods from a grocer. And we're going to talk about it. Well, actually, no, she's going to talk about it. I'm curious to see what she picks up. Will it contain HEK 293 kidney cells that were derived from human fetuses that Planned Parenthood made millions selling to American biotech companies such as Sinominex? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's a curious question, isn't it? And if that company is a publicly traded company that sells those products, what other companies likewise utilize and sell them products? Things that make you go, Until next time, folks, you've been listening to CC2 Arms, also known as True Patriot. On behalf of Volunteer Agriculture, True Living Organic Farms, try to be productive. Do not get too hot. Take it easy. Most importantly, love one another. Learn and grow based off of your experiences and your interactions with one another. Until next time, which might be this afternoon, but then again, it might be next year. But until next time, folks, hey, peace out, everyone. Have a great, productive, love-filled day. Namaste all.